should come and help, please. Somebody needs help here. Is having some errors. I said you should not sit down. Help people. They are good people. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Single or double quotation is not what is causing it. It's your parenthesis. R has already told you what the problem is. He said there is an unexpected parenthesis. You have put one parenthesis or you have omitted some. So who got this? Anybody? Wow, that's good too. Who else? I've gotten 2 people. You got it. So it's parenthesis. All right, thank you. If you once you have an issue, just put up your hand. Somebody will locate you. You need help, right? If you do like this, somebody will just think that you are waving. Put your hand like somebody who needs help. Then somebody will attend to you. All right, so let's go back. Now, I'm not going to take time on this again because of our time, but I won't ask you to practice it, but you can just let me explain. So, for instance, now you may want to add, are we together? You may want to add new record to what you already have, to your data frame, maybe another column. Are we together? Or another row, depending on the situation now. So, here, we are bringing in new record. We don't have the record of this person before, Brian. So, maybe it was omitted. Now you want to update it. What do? You put his own new record. And then because the record is supposed to be on the row, isn't it? So you just row bind it with the previous one that you had before. Just row bind it with the previous one you have, and then it would have updated that record. Do we understand? Now, I told you that you can also import data into R, but for now I'm going to hold on that because I want you to see something, particularly because Mr. Sam took you something on function, so I want you to just practice something on that. I've told us that this one we are just, peeping at what R can do. Sir, the previous one. So we are just peeping at what R can do. R can do much more. So we can possibly in these 2 days look at everything. So, but at least just trying to steer our interests, so that we can try to start learning better. So, where I will stop is this next thing that I want to look at. So, I want us to see some plots. So, one other thing we can do, in case you can snap so that it can come close to you, you can be typing from your phone. Can just type snap and then type so that all right, can we move on now? Can we move on? Yes. Okay, the yes have it. So let's go on to functions. All right. So in R, just like we have inbuilt functions, and you have seen the use of some of them, we have used function matrix, isn't it? We have used function rep. Are we together? We have used function what? Sequence, SEQ. Are we together? Yes, and many more that we have done. Matrix, you can create your own function. Because many times you want to use a customized function. Just like Mr. Sam was teaching us and he was talking about functions. And you want to bring in your own functions. We are mathematicians, we work with functions, different functions, and you want to create it. So let's see. So we are going to look at how to go about that shortly. Please show the slide, please. The slide is much more important in this session so that people can see what to type. Thank you. All right. So, just like we know that I told you that for every function, there is an argument, right? But this time around, you want to create your own function and you want to define what the arguments are. So let's see, for instance, that you want to create a function 5x. Are we together? Are we together? Function 5x. F of x equals to what? 5x. Are we together? So what you do, name it whatever. I have called it my function. I've called it my function, for instance. Is that okay? So, these two curly brackets. So, it's inside that two curly brackets, you want to tell what the function should do. So, tell it 5 times x. That is 5 star x. Have you done that? All right. To be putting all these print all the time. You don't need it. But you can just go on with my function. 3. Just say my function. So once you call my function, it will request from you what argument do you want to put there. Just like the one that has been programmed earlier, when you put so function, it's requesting certain arguments. But you have created this function, and you have said the argument it needs is x. So when you call that function henceforth, it will request for the arguments. So now you have created it. So you must run it. Or if you don't run it, how will you not reckon with it? So run my function. Have you run it? Now say my function. Type my function now. It's bringing out x inside it, isn't it? It's requesting that you put x. So specify x equals to 3. Or maybe just 3, for instance. My function 3. My function 3. What is it bringing out for you? And run it. What do you have? Yes, it has 15. That's good. So it has kept in its memory, it has defined something for you. What you defined. That my function should be what? 5x. So whatever x you supply, it will multiply by 3. Is that okay? So you can take my function now and see what you have. What do you have? Don't forget function. What arguments do you want to put in there? X. And then what do you want it to do? How do you want that function to perform? I believe we have done that, right? So now this is the function Mr. Sam was dealing with the other time before. See that function that he showed you, that Gaussian function. So you can create it by yourself too. This time around, the function, what are the arguments in the function? Can you tell me? What are the arguments in the function? T, A, B, and what? And what do you want that function to do? This is what you want it to do. Is that okay? Is that okay? All right, so now, can you create this Gaussian function now? Create this Gaussian function. That was the function that I used the other time to plot the graph that you saw. So that means it's a function of time of A, which is the maximum value, B, which is the peak position, and then C, which is the rate of waning. And then your T, because T is time. And so he has defined his time as sequence from 0 to what? 0 to 24. So by 0.1, that means you take it from what? 0, 0.1, 0.2, up till 24. All right. So if you now say that Gaussian function and you supply all these T, A, B, and C that have been defined and run it, you see what it will give you. So it will give you the values of that function at different time, T specified. All right, I have thought that I'll be able to go further than this for you to plot this function itself. But time is not on our side. We have to stop at this point. At least your appetite is whet a bit. This slide, okay, fine. Like Prof said, we'll talk about it. All right, but do this. Let's finish this and let me know that we at least got something achieved. Question? Okay, what was the question about? Can you please give him the mic so that people can benefit from his question?
Thank you, sir. Is there any way to break the code? Should in case the horizontal length is
there any way
longer,
to break the
it? Yes. Even with that, the interpreter will still be able to interpret the code.
To break the code, right?
Yes.
Not to keep running on the horizontal line. I love that. As you can see here now, that we didn't continue on the horizontal line. Did you observe that we didn't? If we are going to continue on the horizontal line, then we should put this one in here.
Yes. Sorry. I'm talking about the other data we did that has to do with frame. That data is too long.
The same thing is the same thing that applies.
Okay.
So as you are just know that as you are writing your code, okay, you continue correctly. Where you are supposed to put comma, you put comma. Where you are supposed to put braces, you put braces. So if you have to break, you can break. You can go to the next line, sir. Yes, with enter. Just hit enter key. So once the entire code is not yet finished, how we read the entire code. Is that okay? From the beginning of the code to the end of it, even if you break it. Yeah. Okay, sir. The Gaussian function. Right from beginning here, you can. But the reason we define this is this is generally defined. So that if I want to supply whatever value of A, B, C later on, I can decide to supply any value. So once I'm done defining this now, anytime I call Gaussian function, it will immediately request, if you type Gaussian function, it immediately puts there for you T, A, B, C. Just type Gaussian function. Just like for normal functions that have been predefined, that is always requesting for the argument. This one, because you have set the way it should behave, so it's also going to be requesting from you that what are the T, A, B, and C. Did you see it, sir? Yes. So meaning that if I want to, for any value of a T, B, A, and C that I have, I can always specify them inside that, and then it will now give me a specific answer. So this is a general function. A specific value answer will be given when I supply the numerical values that this one takes. Okay, thank you, sir. All right, sir. Ab initio, yes. Earlier, yeah. Generally, yes, sir. It will retain that. Yes, it will a result corresponding to those values. You have assigned them earlier. Yes, sir. A general function. We have not assigned values. You can pre-assign before defining those. You can assign after. So in fact, because you could even change the values at any time. So it's flexible, yes. You can define it at any time. Yes, yes, yes. They are not yet there. It just takes the function as a general function. It stores it. So whatever value you supply later on, it just work with it. So that's what it does. R is beautiful, actually. These are just small stuffs that we are doing. We are showing with R. There are deeper things. Prof has talked about a lot of things. Some results that are being exhibited. They are all done in R. They were talking about modeling, simulation, done in R with beautiful results. With beautiful results. Like I said, it's painful. I can't go further than this because of time. On this note, I'm going to say thank you for listening. See you when we see. All right, so I want to have the last person before we go for our lunch. All right, a request, sir.
I must first of all say you are a good teacher. He broke it down to the lowest crescendo, the lowest way of teaching it. But my request is this. Hello? 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 My request is this. Can you give us some, maybe put it on the platform? Maybe just snap it, because we don't have access to them. The slides are with you. Can you snap it or put the slide on the general platform so that we can look at some other interesting functions? Just as you have the C bind, the row bind, some other interesting functions and what the roles they play. Just send it to us. Since we cannot exhaust it here, we can be practicing them on our own. What we really needed is the foundation. Now we have the foundation from you. Just give us some interesting functions we might need to operate with. Thank you very much.
All right. One of the things we do after a symposium like this is to open the opportunity for people to learn in two ways. You can learn by yourself. So some of the materials we think you will need, we will send it to you. That will help your further learning. And then, Prof has told us that we'll talk about it. Okay, so I'm talking about materials, different materials that we need to learn. The second option is that Prof has told us that Icammda is always available for us. And he told us different ways you can come to, interact with us. We have opportunity for visiting scholars. We have opportunity for internship. We have opportunity for regular associateship and all of that. So those opportunities are there to learn. And when you come, I can assure you that you will learn. All right, but you can also learn at your, by yourself too. If you give you some materials, if you give you some maybe sites to learn some things, I believe you can also learn. All right, thank you so much, sir. Okay, so I want to call on the next presenter who is going to be exhibiting something on soil transmitted emithiasis. All right, so join me to welcome Mr. Olagbami Samson. Mr. Olagbami Samson. This man can kill iron. You are seeing him like that. You know his name is Samson. So it's going to be showing us something on soil transmitted ehrlichiosis. All right, you have the floor.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody, once again. Good afternoon, everybody, once again. All right. So please, I indulge your attention. I just need like about 10 minutes of your attention for this exhibition. Also, and I also want to appreciate Prof for this privilege to share some of the things I've been working on for some time now. So I'll be exhibiting on a disease called soil transmitted ehrlichiosis. So before now, I used to think children having worms used to be part of human makeup and all that. It was until I started working on this, I knew that this is something that really affects child development, affects women and all that. So soil transmitted ehrlichiosis, which is STH in short, is one of the neglected tropical diseases that we have. Okay, the key. It's not moving. It's not moving. Okay, so STH is one of the neglected tropical diseases that we have, and it's a disease that has affected quite a number of people globally, and it's also a public health concern. And the disease is a parasitic one, and it is caused by three nematodal worms, which we call, the first one is called roundworm, that's the English word, so which the scientific name is Ascaris. Then the second one is, we have whipworm, which the scientific name is Trichuria. Then we have hookworm, which we have as Ancylostoma duodenale, and then we have Necator americanus. So these are the pictures of the causal, that is the pathogens, the worms, so which is inhibited in human host. And some of these things affect, some of these worms affect the human being. So sometimes it could cause, it could impair the development of children. When we say that sometimes some children don't know book, so those are some of the things that causes it. Then also it could affect women that are of reproductive age. It could limit the times of in terms of their fertility and all that. So just like I said, that we have about 3 causal agents of that. So Ascaris, we have hookworm, and we have Trichuria. So this is the mode of transmission of the this. So how is this what is the mode of transmission of STH? Now, one of the things is that they are ingested. Sometimes some of us, when we buy farm produce that are not well washed, so we have some of these eggs in some of these products, and when it is ingested, that is exactly what causes infection. So we see for Ascaris now, it is ingested into the human host, then later developed to be worm, and later the human being sheds it into the environment. Also the same thing for Trichuria. So it is also ingested as eggs from farm produce that are not well washed, or when there's an exposure to contaminated soil, then it develops into worm, and human beings can shed that via their stool. Then another one is hookworm. So hookworm can penetrate through the human skin. For example, now the leg. So, and that's the reason why it is always advocated that children should wear footwear, because it has a lot of benefits as to not affect their health. Also, so globally, we have about 1.5 billion people that has been affected with at least one of these species of STH, and a quarter of the world population is at risk of this disease, which is also which poses a threat globally. So, and Nigeria is one of the countries that bears the highest burden of STH in sub-Saharan Africa. Just like if you look at this map that I have here, you see that the places where we have red, there are places where there are high endemic regions, and places where we have yellow, they are low endemic. So if you see now, this is where we have Nigeria. So Nigeria is one of the, so we have about 54.8% of the prevalence in Nigeria, which is a problem for us here. And so in Nigeria, we have, this is the map of Nigeria showing the distribution and the prevalence of the disease in Nigeria. And so for this study, one of the places that we have, one of the places where we have the prevalence to be high is Ogun State, which is a place around this area. We see this red showing, that there's is a high transmission region or high transmission state in Nigeria. So this work focuses on Ogun State because of it's a problem over there, and we have an estimate of like 17.2% of prevalence in Ogun State, which is a problem all across about 20 local governments in Ogun State. So just like I said, I've talked about, so Ogun State is what is being. So then the data we have for this particular study is something I'm still currently working on, so that I have access to. I have a cross-sectional data that is collected over some period of time, that is from 2016 to 2018. And so we have across all the 20 local governments that we have in Ogun State, and that we have about 33 communities where the study was carried out. And the major outcome of the data collection, which WHO recommends, number one is the prevalence of the infection and the intensity of the worm in each of these local government and the communities where the collection were performed. And so, based on the data that I have a visualization of the places where we have like this geographical location in each of all the local government that we have. So this is more like a visualization. So we see that in around this area, we have this one of the local government that has quite a high in terms of intensity and also in terms of the prevalence. So that's around that local government is Owode Obafemi in Ogun State. So it shows, this is just more like a visualization, and this is also done in R. With the use of R, I was able to come out with this visualization showing this. All right, so just for this presentation, these are some of the preliminary study of something that I'm still working on. So one of the things in this presentation is how are environmental factors such as rainfall, temperature, and soil pH driving the endemicity of STH infection in Ogun State. Then also, what is the transmission dynamics of that in Ogun State? So the objective is to investigate the influence of the environmental factors such as rainfall, temperature, and soil pH on the endemicity of STH. Then examine the transmission dynamics in Ogun State. All right, based on that, I carried out. I think this heat map will be able to talk better to that. So, based on those environmental factors, just like I mentioned, so we used correlation just to look at the association of how this is really playing. What exactly is the association of this with respect to the endemicity of STH in the state? And one of the things we discovered is that for all the three environmental factors that we see that they were all moderately correlated. But out of all of them, one of the things we found out was that in terms of the strength, soil pH is negatively correlated. It has more strength in terms of numerical value. It has more strength compared to every other environmental factor that we have. So in terms, what are we saying? We are saying that higher rainfall seems to increase the disease endemicity, while higher temperature also and less acidic soil are linked to lower the endemicity to become infective, and it infects human beings. Then based on that, so the transmission dynamics now. So to study the transmission dynamics of the disease in that particular, so we have susceptible humans. So this is more like in my work, I have something more complex than this, but for the sake of presentation, I want to present something simple. So based on the biology of the disease, we have stratified this population into different epidemiological classes. We have susceptible humans, we have exposed. Then this I1 is infectious with low warm body. We have infectious with medium warm body, and then we have infectious with high warm body. So that is one of the things that WHO is looking at is not just about the prevalence of the disease, also about the warm body, which is the intensity of the disease, which is what we have. So then these arrows are showing transmission. Then these red are showing interaction, just like I have here, interaction. Then these black dotted lines are showing how it is being shedded. And you see, one of the things we find out is that in communities where we find this to be endemic, one of the things they practice open defecation. So that is, they go into the bush, they do what we call short puts. And people who are infected, when they practice things like that, they contaminate the soil. And in the soil where our farm produce are being planted, they contaminate it, and some of the things that we get there are contaminated by some of those. And that's the reason why it is always advocated that we practice hygiene, proper hygiene in terms of when we get farm produce, we should wash our farm produce. When we should also practice hygiene, like in terms of facility that gives that is we should discourage open defecation, which is part of some of things that are contributing to the problem. Yeah. So then this is the equation that stemming out from the schematic diagram. So this is the equation with the force of infection that I have here, and subject to these following initial conditions. So based on that, we just like I said, is a preliminary study. We come up with this. So this is the description of all the state variables and the parameters that is in the model. So then based on that, we have more like a simulation just to see. This is just like a numerical experiment to see. So one of the things we find out in this kind of simulation is that we see that the disease is endemic. That is after a very long time, you see that it always reaches a steady state whereby the disease is not progressing. It reaches a steady state, and which is something that is very important and calls our attention to the fact that if nothing is done about the disease can persist for a very long time, and that is exactly the case. And we advocate for interventions such as mass drug administration, where they give drugs to communities that are highly endemic. They give them deworming drug. They do some of those practices in school. They do school campaigns. They do community campaigns and stuff like that. Then also we also advocate in every household practice adequate hygiene should be practiced. There should be regular washing of hands, which are some of the things that could help combat this infection in those places. And these are my references. And thank you for listening.
It's okay. All right. So that's Mr. Sampson displaying what he has done, or the work that's still ongoing on soil STH. Okay. I was wondering what's at these things. I was thinking maybe there are some terrible pictures. Okay. Now, let's ask him questions. You know, the strength of scientists is not in answers alone, but in questions, right? Knowledge is not created by answers alone, but by questions. When you begin to probe what somebody has done, it can bet something better. So let's engage him in this short time on what he has presented. And while we are doing this, we need to also try to appreciate positive criticism and feedbacks in academics. I have the mic, so I'm saying something because I realize that most times in many of panels or presentations, when somebody puts up his hand to ask questions, they say, that's my enemy. As if the person wants to bring you down. People should not ask questions when we present. The person wants to bring us down. I don't understand. And I saw I've seen that in places. You know, sir? Yes, it is. But we don't do that in our center. Asking questions. As if somebody is tackling you. Somebody is tackling you. Somebody wants to bring you down. Somebody is, a professor has brought his student to present. You must not ask professor students questions so that you not be, having problem with the professor. By the mercy of God, one thing our professor has taught us is to be able to challenge anything. So when you bring something and me I have question, and I ask you question, I just want to know. And if it's something I'm challenging you, you should prove something to me. And then we'll be fine. And maybe you get something from my question, or maybe I will also get something from your answer. And maybe some feedbacks. It can better the research work. And people who came visiting our center said, even when Prof is presenting, you see these small guys. Prof, sir, please, this line, I think I have a different opinion to this. And then Prof will say, okay, there, can we have it? And then you are talking, and he said, okay. And we are talking. And you will not know that it's our prof. The way we are talking. And before you know it, after everything, everybody is refreshed. We have learned. We have one or two things to go home with. So this thing that we are doing, we are saying we should engage. It's a way of telling us that these are the kind of things that bring innovation, ideas, and better our work. So please, let's encourage it, right? When we get back to our universities, encourage it. Let people ask questions in seminars. Don't let us give people highs. If you ask questions, I'll kill you. Let's ask people ask questions. It will help the work. And then maybe when people also have the understanding that you ask questions to better the work, they will not be asking killing questions too. So I think we should do that. Thank you so much. So let's ask questions. Thank you. All right, so I'll give number 1, number 2, and then number 3. All right.
Thank you for your presentation. I believe you are working towards a predictive model. Then looking at the correlation matrix that you display, I can see that some of the covariates are highly correlated. And then in statistical model, we call that problem multicollinearity. So in your predictive model, how do you intend to correct for that problem of multicollinearity? Or is it not a challenge in mathematical model?
Okay. The reason for that is, some of those, because we observe data. One of the things that results informs the process of modeling in terms of based on what we have in the data, based on the biology. So it informs, for instance, now, for that of what I showed. So in terms of all the covariates that I showed, so there's a particular one which is quite has a lot of association in terms of to the endemicity of, so which is something I'm looking in, and it's going to inform some of the things that is going to be induced in my parameters for the model. That's mathematical model. So that is my interest.
That is to determine what parameter to really pay attention to, one that really drives the system much more, the endemicity much more, like in terms of the association, like the
Yeah. So
but I think the multicollinearity is something that I know in statistics you want to pay attention to very well. Maybe for multicollinearity, that means those two covariates are essentially doing the same thing if they are highly correlated. So, and they are different covariates. So it means that they are doing almost the same thing. So it's as if you are repeating the same covariates in the model, and then they will now be contributing. One has to go. So, but if we look at this, I think that, like he said, remove, yeah.
There are machine learning techniques that will help you to, first of all, identify the variable that are important in the predictive model you are working on, and then it will delete irrelevant variable. Like lasso. Lasso will take off those irrelevant variable, and then it will leave you with covariates that are very important in what you want to do. And then you can go on with those important variables in your modeling.
All right. Now, sorry, yes, I have to come in. In your model,
yes, sir.
I want to believe there are some parameters that are highly sensitive.
Yes, yes.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
That if you vary those parameters, it will have a large effect on the dynamics of your model. Now, I want to believe that you should have carried out a sensitivity analysis on those parameters.
Okay.
Why didn't you do that?
Yeah, it's an ongoing work, so definitely it's still going to reach that stage. So which is an ongoing work, so I've not gotten to that stage. So it's something to look into, sir.
He was talking about
yeah.
with respect to the machine learning.
Okay.
We want to see how to separate some sensitive variables but ones that are not really having large effect on the model. Is that okay? Maybe if you have done that, you'll be able to answer.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm okay.
I think what he has presented is a very, like, less than 10% of what he has done. It's just and then the actual thing is just to give, just for people to know various aspects that we can apply modeling to. Now for the multi-code, but for this work now is actually because the data available is a cross-sectional data, so there is no longitudinal data. So the time scale of the data is not something that we can. So he is only going to estimate some important parameters in the work, not specifically variables. Are you guys now? There are difference between variable and parameters. Parameter as user defined. Are you guys user defined quantities? But so we have some tools in statistics that we use in tackling that if it gets to that level. But for this particular work, just to give a kind of an overview of what he has done. In fact, the schematic, the main question, I think he has about 3 questions. So the model is up to like 20 differential equations. So it's not very huge stuff, but he just pick an aspect just for people to know that okay, this is possible with mathematical models. So I understand what the aspect you are talking about actually.
Good afternoon. Well done for the presentation. I am interested in the data aspect.
Okay.
Was the data was it a primary data or secondary?
No, secondary. Is a cross-sectional
okay.
data.
Okay. I just feel it would be interesting to compare those parameters with respect to season.
So I can't hear very.
Seasons, like the pH, the rainfall, temperature in dry season.
Yeah, it's some of those parameters where some of those environmental factors were things they got from satellites, like satellite data, information and data. They extracted it from that. So in terms of the soil pH and the temperature, then the soil pH particularly, places where they carry out those study, they took samples of those this and tested it.
Yes, I'm just saying like if it was in 2 months, you can still divide it with months. Like
months.
The months that are rainy seasons can be collated together,
okay.
While those for dry seasons, you discover that there will be variations.
Yes, but the challenge is that they did the study at just between different. Is a cross-sectional study, so it was just at a particular time, just once a cross. That's the point I'm driving at. Yeah.
I think, like you said, the nice thing would have been to have
At different months.
if it's available, and it's not collecting data by himself, it's using secondary data. What is available is a cross-sectional data collected once. But like you said, those things are affected by season. Rainy season, it can be different thing and all of that. I think, but it's a good feedback you may want to take care of. Maybe if, for instance, if you are able to get data that measure those things, soil pH and co at different times. But I'm aware that both rainfall and temperature data are available everywhere across time. It doesn't have to be, we don't have to stick to something that is done cross-sectional. You can go get temperature data, even from as far as 1990 till dates, monthly data set. So when, like Prof said, the work is ongoing. So maybe as time goes on, as we are getting to the point of fitting the model to data and all of that. So those are some of the things that we have to take care of to ensure that monthly, like we work with longitudinal data rather than cross-sectional data, if we do get, particularly for those ones that we can access.
Thank you, Mr. Sampson, for
Yes,
your presentation. I observed in the schematic diagram,
The water.
the schematic diagram, there is no recovery.
Okay.
We have
Okay.
3 this thing there. So, why is it that nobody recovers from this soil transmitted helmet? Or please, can you expand more?
Okay, thank you, sir, for that question. So, according to the biology of the disease, so the worms could inhabit human host as long as, I think, just like Prof mentioned in one of his presentation, it can inhabit human host as long as they are alive. So, except an action is done, just like, and that's the reason why, for instance, children, they advocate for deworming. So, it is only when an action is taken that it can reduce. So, that's when an action is taken, like using a drug, that's mass drug administration. So that is when a deworming drug is, an intervention is.
Somebody who is infected cannot recover naturally except through treatments. Are you getting me now? So that's why until he puts treatment, a control in his model, that's when he can talk about recovery.
Thank you very much for that presentation. My question is, it also affects the sister that presented on FGS yesterday.
Okay.
Okay. So the question goes to us. I discovered that yesterday in our model, I didn't really say anything like parameter value.
Okay.
But I saw a graph, so I
Okay.
believe you must have utilized some parameter value to produce that graph. So how did you go about the parameter value? Was it from literature? Was it estimated? Like, how did you come about the parameter
Okay.
value?
So as some will be taken from literature, like most especially some of the biological biological parameters, they will be taken from established literatures, and some will be estimated from data. So, but majorly for this simulation that I have, most of them are from literature. So, by having data, I can estimate some of those from. Do you get it?
All right, thank you so much. Please, can we clap ourselves?
Thank you.
Thank you for sitting all through and following what we have been doing. So we are going to stop at this point, pause for a while, so that we can go take our meal, and then we can get enough energy to continue the rest of the sessions that we have. So we want to say thank you so much. Please, let's rise to take our meals, our lunch now, and then we'll be returning. Let's try as much as possible. If we can, in the next 30 minutes, if we can take the next 30 minutes to eat our food, and then we'll return. So that means by 3:37 or max 3:40. 3:40. So while you are going, please, let's use our tag. I've told us the reason for that. You are in the academic environment. A lot of people are everywhere. We need to be able to know we are giving our food, so that somebody else will not come and take what you are supposed to take. But once you have your tag, we know that, okay, the food is for you. Then for our social media platforms, please, we want you to follow our social media platforms. They are there on the WhatsApp platform created. Follow them, like those pages, make comments, and then share with your friends. This will help, the visibility of our programs. Even for people around you, people in your circle will benefit a lot, from what we are doing. So please, we want you to, on our Facebooks, on our Instagrams, on our LinkedIn, our Twitter, please like and follow those pages. All right, when we come, I will ask us how many people have already done that. All right, you wanted to say something about that? You wanted to say something about that?
For those of us that couldn't complete the online registration and didn't have access to the group and all of this you're talking about, yes, to the platform.
Yeah. Now, please, I will really plead with us. In Icammda, we are very, very serious with protocols, processes, because we want it helps us in our plans. So that's why when we put out an application, people should register, people should fill and submit. So for those of us who were opportune to be part of this event without registering, it's just an opportunity, actually. So it's an opportunity, because on a normal day we shouldn't open it for us, but Now we have allowed us. So, of course, we allow you to take full benefits of everything that people who also registered have taken. But I want to say that, please, we may not always allow that. So, you have registered, right? Okay, they didn't put your email address? Okay, you will see the admin once that woman who gives you food is the admin. Huh? The Twitter page. I think it's at Icammda. Is it not at Icammda? All right, so all the link, the everything will be displayed, right? It can even be sent to we'll send to the platform and we'll also. All right. All right. I'm told that some of us have not collected our food. So please let's go out and collect our food so that we can eat. By in the next 20 minutes, we are supposed to return. All right. Thank you. Please, we want to ensure that we have served everybody, that everybody has eaten, because after now, the food may not be available again. So if you have not taken your food, please, let's go and take our food. Let's go and take our food. Even if you are not eating it now, you can collect it and keep it till the time you are ready. But when you are ready, the food may not be available again. So we ask us to return by 3:40. So in the next 6 minutes, we'll start the next session. Yeah, thank you. So also let me say to us that next session is the last session of presentations, while afterwards we are going to be having interactive session. So I want us to prepare our questions that would probably have not been answered, even though we also have some questions, line of interactions that we want to drive the discussion. But then you may come with your questions as well, so that we'll also entertain them in the course of the event. All right. Enjoy your meal. Bon appetit. Bon your appetite. right. So if you check your time now, this is 3:41. Yeah. So we want to start the last phase of this symposium. And I believe that the best is reserved for the last. So we've told us that a lot of things will be learned, a lot of skills will be acquired, a lot of information will be passed, and we have come to the peak of it. And it's a great thing that when we started, our dear Professor Emmanuel Afolabi Bakari started with us introducing the concepts, the foundation of what we are to learn in the course of the symposium to us. And by God's grace, is also going to wrap up with modeling in practice, which is what we want to look at now. Modeling in practice. So everybody, please join me to welcome our dear professor, again, the director of Icammda International Center for Applied Mathematical Modeling and Data Analytics, as he takes us the last presentation for this symposium. Prof, you are welcome, sir.
So, good afternoon, everyone. I want to believe that we have been having a very useful and progressive deliberation. Now, as we come to the end of this symposium, we want to look at modeling in practice. The life cycle, just like mosquito has its own life cycle, and everybody here is our own life cycle. So the life cycle of a modeling project from conception to publication. Now, I'm going to give an example of a Burili ulcer in Cameroon. Burili ulcer is an NTD. It's a neglected tropical disease. Now, most times what comes to your mind in terms of using modeling to respond to questions, especially in biology. Now, I have seen that in most of the work we have been doing in Nigeria, like I said yesterday, people just come and modify models. So when they ask them, what's the question you are addressing? They don't know. What is the research gap? They don't know. What is the objective? They don't know. So what did you do? I modify. What do you modify? I change this parameter, replace it with the other parameter, and develop it. That is a very wrong concept. And that is why most times, most of the work that have been done are not relevant, because it's not coming out of a certain motivation or the other, or research gap that you have discovered, or based on even programmatic questions. Like I said yesterday, most of the questions we are answering in our center, they are based on programs questions that people are interested in. So how do we conceptualize a modeling before it becomes and pass through the process of publication? Oh boy, can you move? Okay, it's moving now. Okay, so we start from development of the study concepts and question. Development of the study concepts and question. Now, any research you want to do and you don't know what you want to do. If you don't know what you want to do, then you need to find out, how do I do what I want to do? Because you will not be the first person that will be doing that work. Neither will you be the last. So people have been doing the work. You also want to make your contribution. Right? So how do I go about it? In Yoruba, there is one Yoruba adage that I used to use when I started research. I will say it in Yoruba. Ọgbọ́n lọ́gbọ́n láàfin pé kí ni o, àgbà níwèrè òun ló dífá fún literature review. Oh, sorry. Now, the wisdom of another person that an elderly man borrowed is what will not make the elderly man to be seen as a foolish person. So because the elderly man has experience, he has been alive for a long time, he is exposed, so he has gathered so many wisdom from different people, places, time and period. So when he's talking, he's using different kind of exposure he has had. He has added them up to advise you. So by the end of the advice, say, wow, this man is very wise. Do you understand? So the reason is because he has searched out so many literature review. Are you getting me now? That's why you see now, if you are not reading, then you don't have anything to write. You don't understand? If you don't read, what do you want to write? You can't write anything. So if you want to start writing, start reading. If I ask you now, something about this particular thing, if you have not read about it before, you will scratch your head from now till December. You can't write anything. So the first thing we are saying now, development of the study concepts and question. So what do you want to do? That's the first thing you ask yourself. So if you know what you want to do, now why do I want to do it? Is it that people have not done it before? So I need to find out, what has people done that I want to do? So I will have to read, go through literatures, check what people have done, have an idea of what has been done. And for you to know, let me take for instance, people who are working, somebody is working solid mechanics. Okay, better. You gave me time at 3:50, and then you are writing 3:48. That's a delay. There is a delay. That's T minus 2. Since the time I have started, T minus 2, T minus tau. So I will factor the delay. Okay. So what I'm saying, the study concept and question comes from when you have been able to read other people's work, what people have done, the gap in knowledge. Then you'll be able to now see, what do I want to conceptualize? What do I want to bring out? That's when you can see. If you don't search enough literatures, now for mathematical modeler, most times we look at, what do we look at? We look at modeling papers, and that's a wrong place to start. I'm doing malaria. You are first looking at modeling paper. That's not where the questions are. You go to the biology of only giving an extract. It does not take you to the roots of the matter. So now, literature search, because you already say that I'm trying to work on malaria, then you have to get literature. Review. And let me tell you work now. The least paper you can think of is at least five most current paper parts. Are you now for mathematical modelers? You know, sometimes we do need, like some of our scientists are collecting primary data. I have two of them here. One of them is here. Primary data, and then if you need to collect primary data, either cross-sectional or longitudinal, but that is going to take time, you know, especially for PhD. Now, sometimes you need to get the secondary data for this. And thank God this morning we discussed about data collection. There are enough platforms that you can get data on, and or you have to meet some people to get data, or you collaborate to get data. Now, after the data collection, construction of model framework. Now, why do you need the data before the modeling framework? Now, the reason is because the data must inform the kind of model you want to build. If you don't know the content in the data, so you just begin to model, like I said yesterday, you are only doing academic exercise. Do you understand? Some of us, the modeling we are doing is on the question side, exercise of a textbook. That's what you are doing. You say you are doing research. Exercise, some exercise 1A. That's not research. Or exercise 1B of a particular textbook. That's the research you say you are doing. Are you getting me now? So it's always good that, you see, you look at the data, and then, in fact, at this stage, you can carry out some analysis, some basic analysis to even see what is happening with the data. How does the data look like? Like a time series trend of the data, not analysis, just to look at the time series plot and see how the data is behaving. Look at the variations in the data, which has to do with peaks and troughs of the data. You are able to cite, okay, when do we have the highest peak, when do we have the low, the troughs and the peak in the data. Then you begin to look at the amplitude, a lot of things around that. So, and these are very interesting things to look at. Then after the construction of modeling framework, now in the construction of modeling framework, the construction of modeling framework is dependent on your question. Now let me try to say this. Now, when you have looked at literature, there are many things that comes up here in the literatures. You have to you discover some motivation in terms of the gap to fill. The gaps you want to fill. Then if you discover the gap, you have your work must have an aim. What's the aim of the work? What's the aim? There must be an aim. There must be, this is the way it goes. The aim, after you have searched literature, the aim, there must be aim. Then you have research questions. Research questions. Then you have objectives. You have methodology. Now, if for modeling or not only modeling, any particular area. Now, take for instance, for masters in my university, in our center, you have the least number of questions you can have is 3. 3 questions for masters to graduate with a master's. To graduate with a PhD, you have at least 5 questions. So in this place, I have 3 questions, 1, 2, 3, right? Now, for your objectives, it must not be more than 3, because each of the objectives, objective 1 is responding to question 1. Objective 2 is responding to question 2. Objective 3 is responding to question 3. Right? So, by the time you are writing your questions or your objectives, the question you must ask yourself while putting down your objective is that, are my objectives smart? What's the meaning of smart? Is there anybody who going to tell me? Smart. S-M-A-R-T. Specific, measurable, achievable, measurable. Are they achievable? Are they realistic? Or are they timely? Can you finish within 3 years? Or you want to use 15 years? Yeah. When you propose an objective that you cannot finish, then you are there till you see your grandchildren. Now, you see somebody is finishing PhD after 20 years. So, you want to be like that, no problem. You have that kind of objective. Then, your methodology. Now, your methodology, 1, 2, 3. So, must be equal to your objective 1. You must have methodology 1. For objective 2, methodology 2. For objective 3, methodology 3. That is a sequential order. You don't mix it up anyhow. So, if you don't understand this, then you can't, in fact, you cannot even write a proposal to win a grant. The first thing you will do in my center is that if you want to do a work, everybody here that you see doing any work with us, before you can go anywhere, you must defend your proposal in the center. We must see your proposal, and it must contain every one of them. They can write it within 5 seconds. There is nobody here out of all our students. They can teach you what I'm teaching you now. Because that's what they bath and hit with every day. You don't know, you don't get it, you don't go anywhere. You don't go anywhere because, I mean, it's like there is no foundation to your research. When there is no proposal, no foundation, you don't have where you are going. So there must be a foundation. It's like a building. The most important part of a building is where? The foundation. If the foundation is destroyed, everybody here will run out. The building will collapse. It's just a matter of time. So when you are doing a research and there is no proposal, it's like a building you went to build in Lekki. You bought it 500 million, but your foundation is bad. It doesn't matter where you bought the land. The building will collapse. Right? So that is one thing you have to do. Having done that, you know, you have your data collected, you have secondary data, everything is intact. You constructed a model. Your model is not the question. Your modeling is not the question. Your model equation is not the question. It's not. Your model is the methodology. So when you say construction of model, it has to do with methodology. So now for objective 1, method 1, maybe you model, like I said yesterday, how does measles spread in Ondo State? My methodology may be description or understanding the dynamics of that's methodology to respond to. Maybe, okay, let me put it like this. My question is, how does measles spread? That's question 1. My objective is going to be understand the dynamics of measles spread in Ondo State, right? That is my objective. My methodology will be develop a deterministic compartmental model to capture the dynamics of measles spread in Ondo State. So, in that methodology, what method am I using? Deterministic compartmental differential equation model. That's the method I'm using to respond to the objective and the question. So, can we move on? I want, okay. Then model, and then we talk about construction of the model framework model framework. And then that has to do with the objective. If you have 3 objectives, you may end up having 3 different models which will respond to each of these objectives. Now, model analysis and selection. Now, in the course of model analysis, what we said yesterday was that there are 2 parts to it. We have the qualitative feature analysis, and then we have the quantitative analysis. Quantitative analysis. Now, when we say qualitative analysis, we are dealing with now I think I've said many things about, so I want people to respond. Qualitative, what are we talking about when I say qualitative analysis of the model? The model you have developed. Yes? From there. No. Sensitivity is not qualitative. Yes? Who is talking? So what do you mean by classical analysis? What are the contents? Properties of the model. Like what? Positivity, boundedness, invariant region, yes. Local stability, yes. Yes. There. Nobody's talking there. Qualitative analysis, yes. You said? Steady state, that's equilibrium analysis. Fixed points, yes. Variance, no. Basic reproduction number. They are standard, but they are necessary. Are you guys understanding? They are standard. Now, if I look at a model and especially that has to do with analysis, those are the first, I call them, under this qualitative analysis, we have 2 parts. We have the classical analysis, and then we have secondary analysis. Now, all of those ones you have mentioned, they are classical, they are basic. Are you getting what I'm saying now? Basic in the sense that, they are, if you bring 20 papers in modeling out, or maybe 1,000 papers, you will see all those in there. And you find it in those papers. All those things you are doing in RN space, they are already established. We are only using them in modeling. Are you getting me now? So all those results, they are existing results, they are standard that you must find in any modeling paper. They are like preliminary, so I also call them preliminary results. They don't make your paper publishable, sir. They don't make your paper publishable. Are you getting what I'm saying now? If you want to know more, maybe about that, I can give you textbooks that already have those ones done. Under a few minutes, I'll give you all those uniform persistence. You just need to repeat the same thing.